Hello everybody, this is Japhet from the Art of Trading and I'm back with another daily top 10 for today. Today is Tuesday, February 23rd and we are back with another episode. And if you're a newcomer to this channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and hit that thumbs up if you're a returning viewer. And at the same time, for today we have our technical analysis of the trending stocks where we look at them objectively and we look at where price action takes us for today. So before we start with our trending stocks, let's look at our market summary where we had quite a big movement today on the downside, but at the same time it was able to recover our index and we had a positive change of 4.33 points today, or 0.06% change, as we see all of the reds in the other in all of the sectors except for holdings. So yeah, that's a big move on the downside. Earlier I was watching it when it was starting out, so there was a huge rejection at the bottom right here, exactly where I put my my A point right here. So yeah, we were looking at this area right here at 67.40 and it got rejected there, and we see a positive move, but it went down to as far as that earlier today. So wow, what a movement for PSE today. I'm gonna keep this ABC wave here to see if it holds up or if it breaks above instead, because we now have this trend line right here holding as resistance. So we might be seeing like a rally here on the upside before crashing potentially, but then if it continues to move up further for our index, that would be a better sign, because it could break back in this trend line, and that's the best move it could do. But for now, we have our previous support zone, support range, support trend line holding us as resistances for our price action. So yeah, we are still watching those areas, but we did see a massive rejection on the downside right here. Let me put an arrow on that so that we could remind ourselves that there was a massive rejection right there. So yeah, I think I'm gonna keep this. Okay, now I don't. Yeah, there. I'm gonna keep this right there, because I was able to, we were able to pinpoint that zone where it could potentially bounce from, and it did. So we shall see what it does. We shall see what happens over the next few days. But we did see a close at 6800 zone with a positive 4 points for today, even with a lot of foreign investors coming out for today. So let's go to our first stock, which is Dito. So our first stock, Dito, it moved on the upside, opened at 18.99 or 19. Wait, it opened at 19. Wow. But then we saw a sell-off, and we moved down, and we closed at a negative 1%. Negative 1.77%, and lost about 0.32 cents per share. So wow, that's a huge movement, even with the positive foreign net. But yes, we saw a massive rejection, like a whole candle for the rejection. So let me just label that right there where it got rejected. So it rejected here. It didn't even wick out. It just opened there, and everyone just sold off. And as we are expecting, it will want to retouch that zone, the 17.1 range to 17.5. So get ready for this one. It might be moving towards that anytime soon, sometime soon, especially since it got rejected on the upside for Dito. And yeah, we're waiting patiently for this range to solidify, and we shall move to our next stock, which is PHA, another hot stock for this week. So what happened to PHA? It did not close above here, so it also got rejected massively right around this area. It got rejected massively as it opened at 3.24, rallied to about a high of 3.34, but it closed on a low at 2.91, or negative 8% almost, because the net foreign investors were coming out, and it really did want to fill this gap first. So let's look at the 1 hour time frame just to get an idea where the gap is. So yes, there is a gap here that it wants to fill, and hopefully that holds up, and that is around 2.9 to about, what is this, 2.98. So there is a gap there, and hopefully it becomes like a support range. So there is a gap there that it still wants to fill, as we see it pull back massively into here. So there is now a chance that it would potentially touch the 2.6 level again, if it doesn't bounce off from this gap at 2.9 zone, at 2.9 area. If it doesn't bounce up and recover immediately right here, or it doesn't consolidate right here, we could be seeing a breakdown on the downside and maybe retouch the 2.6 levels and make a bigger range right here. So we shall see. The resistance at 3.01 is still proving to be strong, even though we closed positive yesterday. There was just a lot more who pulled out today. So now, since we've had a taste of the 3.15 and it was tested multiple times, we could say that is now a significant resistance as well, right there at 3.27. We're still hoping that it would find support right here. So I think I'm gonna remove this one right here and maybe just keep this zone as a level of support that it needs to break back into if it wants to continue. So I'm gonna keep this, the 2.9 to 3. Let me just readjust that. 2.9 to 3. So if that holds up, that is our future support zone, and if it doesn't, it will want to go back down to this level right here. Let me just solidify this. 2.8, yeah, that's definitely there. And yeah, it might be wanting to touch this 2.6 levels, as we see more profit takers that were probably from here at the 2.2 levels. Or yeah, but there was just a massive move on the upside, so that's why we saw a sell-off for this one. So let's just watch out. If you know your entry points and your cut loss points, if this support breaks, you should be looking to potentially protect your gains or cut your losses for this one. But yeah, I didn't want to buy above here until there was a close on the daily candle right above this resistance, because we still had, this is now a more solid resistance because it got rejected here massively. So this is now a range of resistance at 3.2 to 3.3. So that is an area that we're looking at. Let me just plot that right here. Yeah, so this range is still a resistance for us, the 3.2 to 3.3 zone. So these are the key levels that we're watching, the 2.9 because for the gap. So if it does fill that and bounces right away, that's a good sign. But for now, that's a huge move on the downside, and it could potentially retouch or retrace back down to 2.65 levels. So that's it for PHA. Let's move to our next one with APL. Still, I think, there's so many ads. It's a lot of ads today. So with APL, what do we see with APL for today? Our chart is still loading. So yeah, let me give this time to load. And for now, we saw APL close at 0.2750 with a positive 1% gain and a lot of foreign net today, 12.04 million. and we see our support level here hold up, although it did touch 24. Wow, we had a low of 0.25 for this one, and it got rejected massively on the downside and closed positively 1%. So our resistance held up here, and we are still in this gap. We are still within this gap, and this could be a great range now for it to hold. And but we did see our area right here hold up, and we did see a bounce from there. So in a way, our analysis was accurate on this one, and we should just wait for this one to show us confirmation that it wants to keep going up. But yes, we did see it, get rejected on here, as we had this area of support 25.50 hold up, and this trend line held up as well. So that's a good sign for APL, but it's definitely moving slowly but surely and still accumulating for that massive move potentially, or massive breakdown, because it's still undecided right now. So up next we have MM. Got rejected on the downside as well, so it did not push way below, but it did touch our 6.6 levels. Low was 6.62, and but it was able to recover. Even if it opened at 6.93 and went down to 6.62, it was able to recover and close positively at 7.03 at positive 1.44%, with a lot more foreign net for today. So that's a good sign actually, and it's a good sign that this support zone is quite strong. The 6.9 to 7.1 zone that we have here is quite it's holding up quite well. Oh, and it broke this downtrend that we have. So it finally broke that downtrend, and it's now pulling back a little bit. Still got rejected here on the upside on the 1 hour, but this is a good indicator that everyone wanted to come into this and catch it at this price point. So yes, this support level, it broke back into the support level, so that's a good sign. It will definitely want to hold it up until, yeah, now we have momentum shifting, and it could potentially retest that 7.7 levels resistances that we had before this 5-day skid right here. So up next we have ACEN. ACEN, what is going on with ACEN? ACEN closed at 7.45 or negative 2% today, with a lot of our foreign investors coming out. So we broke this immediate support at 7.56. So sadly, this support area is now a resistance for now, and it does want to retest our 7.05 to 7.25 levels. At least that's my my point on this, because it broke the support. So it does have more momentum on the downside since it hit the 8 peso mark right there recently. So it does want to build some level of range and support here. Hopefully it does, because that's a good zone and a healthy move for it to keep running back up, because it can't just keep pushing the 10 peso area right away. So this is so it really wants to build a level of support first for this one. So yeah, we should be watching this intently. Watch out for ACEN, and know your cut loss points for this one if ever, because it just broke a support level. So if you bought it around that price point, maybe look to cut it first and then re-enter when it's more favorable. So up next we have BSC. Wow, damn cars outside. BSC broke our uptrend trend line right here. It broke it, and now we find ourselves on a sideways movement with this massive rejection right here, and our support level right here holding up. So hopefully this holds up, and at best here we could be seeing a range right around this area. So we shall see. This is still a good accumulation phase, accumulation zone for BSC, but it's moving sideways, holding up the support And that's it. And we have a newcomer for today. We have TEL or PLDT. So PLDT closed in at 1,313 pesos, or up 8 pesos today, with about 0.61% gain. And a lot of there's still a lot of foreign sellers on this one, but it was trending. A lot of people were posting about this, huh? So what is the story with this one? So we did have a support level right here, and this support level right here is now acting as a resistance for this candle. So it failed to break back in, and we are still on this downtrend momentum. So this support level right here that it just broke is at the 13.18 to 13.29. So let's label that 13.18 to 13.29. So this is a level of support that we were looking at before this massive rally and then this rejection right here, but today it just confirmed that it finished or closed right below there, and it would really want to test this zone right here at around 12.96. So better watch out for that zone too if that holds up, because we have more support here too, more support candles right here, so right here, and it wants to test it potentially for the third time. But this support zone is now acting as a resistance, so it would have to break that first for it to continue moving on the upside. So that's it for TEL for now, but definitely the bias here, there are more sellers, and this is our resistance for now. So yeah, let's move on to our next stock, which is LODE. So we haven't reviewed this recently, and for me, I like to address my resistances first. So that's a good resistance zone at 1.86. This one closed at 1.75, or positive almost 5%, and then we saw a lot of more foreign net today. So this is my resistance once again that I'm looking at 1.86, and based on this, it was able to build a support zone right around here. I'm gonna include these resistances because it pulled back nicely within there, pulled back nicely in this area, and then this was also a level of support that it built on. And let's label these. This was at 1.28 to 1.38, so 1.28 to 1.38 pesos. It was able to hold up right here after this massive push. It pulled back and it was able to hold up there, and then we see this level of resistance turning as support right here. So we have this range at 1.58 to 1.64, 1.58 to 1.64. So that area held up, and then now there was a rally of about 5% for this one, but we see an apparent resistance right there. So we could be seeing maybe a rejection, but creation of a higher low right here, and potentially maintain this uptrend. So we shall see what happens for LODE, but that's it. These are my key levels that I've identified and key resistance right here. Yeah, so trade these zones and then have cut loss points below those. So yeah, be safer, because this is right in the middle of nowhere, and your reward ratio here is going to be quite slim because it's already halfway towards retesting its resistances. So these are the area of significance or key levels that we're looking at, or this trend line. That's also another area to be trading this. So let's move to our next one with AR. AR closed at 0.0039, or negative 2.5%, and we are still moving on the downside here. Last time we reviewed it, it was at support zone, but then now it just continuously went down. So now this area is a resistance. The 0.0042 to 49 is now a resistance, and it's still undecided on what it wants to do for this one. So we should watch and see, but definitely broke this level of support, closed there on a daily candle, and yeah, this is still on its downtrend. And lastly, let's do a recap of PSEI. So we did see it bounce off from this area. That's a good sign, but then as I've mentioned, our trend line is now on the uptrend line, is now a resistance that it could hold, up here. So we should be watching this. And also this is also now a resistance. The 6850 zone is also now a resistance. So this is a possible movement for PSE. This ABC movement right here, that's a possible movement for our candlesticks. So that's it for me today. It's a quick one, as we see a lot of stocks pulling back, or a lot of profit takers taking over the market today. But yes, if you picked up something from this video, consider subscribing. Hit this subscribe button, takes a second to do it, and don't forget to leave a thumbs up button on this one. And as always, yeah, I'm here to remind you that you should stay patient, be disciplined, and strive to be consistent with your trading. And yeah, that's it for me today. I'll see you guys tomorrow on the next daily top 10. Stay tuned for that as we go through these trending stocks. So I'll see you guys tomorrow.